Hello guys, welcome back to the Nook. My name is Grace Berry. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, please do that and turn on your notification bell so you get notified when I publish new content. In my last video, I began sharing with you some tips that you can use to level up as a UI UX designer just beginning or starting off a career in UI UX design. So if you haven't watched that video yet, I suggest that you do that. I'll link the video right here so that you can go back and do that. So initially, when I was creating the video, I didn't realize that it was going to be that long. So I split the video into two, and this is the second half of the video. Next tip is something that you can't do without, which is practice. So after you've read all the articles and done all the courses, you have to practice as you're doing this, because if you do not practice, then you do not get better. As they commonly say, practice makes perfect. So if you need to get better at what you're doing, you have to practice. So as you do most of these courses, you would realize that it's more theoretical than practical. So you would want to get in on the action. So to do that, you can, I think one recommendation that I used that really helped me was to use the daily UI challenge. So what I did was, when I get the prompt for the day, I made it a point of duty to research into what they wanted me to do before going ahead to design it. For example, I remember that one of the prompts that I was given was to design a modal. At that point, I'm like, what is a modal? I did a bit of research and I found out that it's basically the same thing as a pop-up, right? And then I went into and I did a bit more of research to understand the best practices for designing a modal. So the goal at the end of the day was to create a design that's aesthetically pleasing, but also that takes into consideration the principles of a good user interface. In terms of practicing, another thing you can do is to get into your design tool. So we have different design tools. The most common one is Figma. Figma is a free resource that you can use on the web or you can download to your PC, and it's very user friendly. So go to YouTube, find resources that are relevant in terms of videos that teach you step by step how to design a particular interface. Follow it and you'll see that at the end of the day, you will learn one or two new things from doing that consistently. When you practice, I would recommend copying. Yes, I know in education, they say copying is bad. Don't copy your neighbor, don't copy your neighbor. But in UX design, as a newbie, you have to copy right. So don't copy wrong, copy right. So what do I mean by copyright? Copyright is a word coined by yours faithfully. And what copyright basically means is that you should take a design that was created by someone, so you can go to a website, you can basically see what they have done and then replicate exactly the same thing. In the process of replicating it, you get better, but then you also look at their design decision. So why was this button placed here? Why was this button made this wide? Or is this a good UX practice? How can we better improve what they have done? So a good example was when we were asked during our accelerator program to do a page by page replication of a website called Tangerine Life, right? I felt like it was a waste of time, but then I went ahead to do it and I realized that I learned a lot of things in the process. So on that website, they used a bit of gradients here and there, their button placement, primary and secondary buttons, and then alignment. So I learned a lot in the process. I would definitely recommend copying, but copy right. So we're moving on to the next point, which is point number 6, which is set deadlines. This is key and important for us to have deadlines, because deadlines keep us in check. You want to complete an online course. How many months do you want to complete this course in? Set realistic deadlines. I'm not saying you should put yourself under unnecessary pressure, but make sure you have deadlines. And a good way to help you to ensure that you keep this deadline is to have an accountability partner. The great thing about having an accountability partner is that this person keeps you in check and helps you hit those goals. So the person nudges you, in short, sometimes they give you morale boost when you need it. And it's easier to have someone who is embarking on the same journey as an accountability partner. So I remember when I started my Google UX course, I had this friend, Ken. He was doing the same course, and then I'm like, oh my God, Ken, you've done this. We had, the opportunity to discuss about some part of the course, and then at some point, I guess he stopped doing his course, and I kept on pushing, but at some point, I didn't have anybody reminding me that, oh, Grace, you have not done this, you have not done that. So it's always good to have someone embarking on the same journey with you, probably someone starting out in UI UX design, that you people can actually serve as accountability partners to each other. The next tip is share your work. So for someone like me that has the tendency to be a perfectionist, it was difficult for me to share my work because I'm like, yeah, I'm just starting and it's not good enough. And you just give yourself those excuses, right? But people know that you are just starting out, so they would not judge you as harshly as they would judge other people who have gone ahead of you. The beautiful thing about sharing your work online is that it gives you visibility. So people know that this is what you're interested in, this is how far you've come, and these are the opportunities you might be able to take advantage of. So when they see opportunities like scholarship or internship application opportunities, they reach out to you to say, oh, this opportunity is there, or that opportunity is there. So sharing your work online is key, like it's really important. So make sure you put your work out there, because it helps you really. When you put out your work, people give you feedback. So if you go to Twitter, you have a lot of people saying, oh, I just started my UI UX journey, this is my first practical work that I've done, and then you can share it. So remember, I talked about the daily UI challenge. The daily UI challenge is something that you can also share on Twitter, you can also share on Dribble, and you can also share on Behance. For example, I can remember the first pre-onboarding screens that I did, I shared it on Twitter. It was a good job, but there was room for improvement. So someone commented and said, oh, do this and do that, and now I'm the better for it. So don't be afraid to share your work online and to get feedback. This takes me naturally to my next point number 7. Don't take feedback personally. Sometimes as designers, because we put a lot of ourselves into our work, it's difficult when someone criticizes our work. However, I want you to remember that the feedback is to make you better, and it's a feedback on your work and not on your person. Moving on to the 8th point. The 8th point is join a community. Say that after me. Join a community. All right, so what does joining a community do for you? Joining a community is a great step to level up, because it gives you access to people who you probably wouldn't have had access to before now. So there are a lot of free communities you can join online. One I would recommend is by Ideate Lab. The same Ideate Lab that has the career quiz that we talked about. On Ideate Lab, they have a Slack community. So all you need to do is to request access to this community. They also organize webinars, so you can also sign up for these webinars as an opportunity to level up. We have 2 more points to go. So number 9. What is our number 9 point? Drum roll. Improve your speaking skills. Speaking is a soft skill that literally you need in every area of your life. So if you're a marketer, you need speaking to sell, right? Same thing in UI UX design. Speaking or communication is one of those important soft skills that will help you thrive, to set you apart from your counterparts. So you have an idea, you have a solution. How do you communicate it to key stakeholders? How do you communicate it to your colleagues? If you communicate it well enough, then they will buy into that idea. If you don't, then it's a problem. Communication includes writing skills and speaking skills. So those things you don't learn overnight. Sometimes you have to practice, do it over and over again, and you become better at it. I used to be one of those introverts that never liked talking. I liked being by myself. But then I became a fashion designer. And as a fashion designer, what do you need to do? You need to sell. To sell, you need to talk. So and then also, funny thing, I was also a lecturer, right? And as a lecturer, you have to what? Talk. You have to explain stuff to students. My previous careers, I'd picked up the skills. and so it became very useful for me in product design, because I had to like communicate my designs, explain my design decisions, and even during my interview I had to explain to my interviewers why I made certain design decisions, and also communicate how important these decisions were. So it's speaking and writing, communication skills is one thing that you cannot do without. So if you know you're struggling in that aspect, I'll say that you can start by talking in the mirror or presenting to people you're familiar with, and then you get confident about what you're doing, and then eventually it becomes better over time. So yeah, that's tip number 9. So guys, the last but not the least is make sure that you look at job advertisements. You might be like, Grace, why am I looking at job advertisements? I'm just starting out my UX career. I'm not even ready for a job yet. So I'll tell you why. The reason why you should be looking at job ads is because these job ads help you figure out the requirements you're going to be needing to get a job. Because the reason why you're changing career is not just because you feel like, right? It's to get better opportunities. So you will need a good job. You want to look at this job advertisement to see what they require from junior UI UX designers, and then start working on having those as you grow. So for example, I know one common thing that you would see in most of these applications, they'll say, oh, communication skills, the ability to empathize, ability to use certain tools like Figma, Adobe XD. You just look at those things and make sure that you check all these boxes as you grow in your career, so that your CV becomes better. So that's why you look at job ads. And I already told you about Ideate Lab. Ideate Lab is very good for junior UI UX designers because they focus more on junior UI UX roles, right? So they have a job board that you should definitely explore. Another place you can find job requirements would be on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is filled with a lot of job opportunities. So you want to explore that option to find what employers are looking for. You have Dribble. So you have job boards on Dribble, on Behance. Like, there are so many. So just go out there, look for job ads in UI UX design for junior roles, and see the things that you need to start ticking off or learning as you grow. So yeah, that's basically my 10 tips on how to level up and become a better UI UX designer as a newbie. As a final note, I would say that you should make sure you give yourself room to breathe. So as a junior UI UX designer, sometimes we tend to put pressure on ourselves. We compare ourselves with other people who have gone ahead of us. But growth is something that takes time. The most important thing, therefore, is consistency. So keep doing what you're doing and you'll get better over time. Time and consistency are the two important ingredients to getting better, to growing. Do not put pressure on yourself. Make sure you take time to pause and breathe. Okay? Thank you for watching till the end. I hope this video gave you valuable lessons and tips that you can use to level up as a UI UX designer. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to also share with your friends and loved ones if you feel like they will get value from this video. Until I come to you next time, please remain safe and stay blessed.